Good morning. Today is a very big day and a great day to have a very important conversation. So this morning I'm joined by CAA Regina's very own fleet supervisor. This is Sean. Sean, thank you so much for being here.
Good morning.
So tell me a little bit about what today is and what it holds.
Well, today is CAA National Slow Down, Move Over Day. Just to bring recognition to make sure that motorists slow down, move over when you see flashing lights on the side of the highway. You should be very conscious about what's on the highway anyways, but we want to go home at the end of the day. We want to be safe. Please give us room to work.
Absolutely. And so you have, personally heard stories and I'm sure experienced things that have been very scary. Can you tell me a little bit about how that impacts you guys?
Well, it hits close to home. In the last few years, we've had a couple fatalities in the business. We've also had many close calls and a couple accidents where there's injuries, but not severe. It hits home. Like we all have families, and we want to be safe.
For sure. And so can you tell me a little bit about how drivers can practice their safe maneuver around emergency vehicles like that?
The biggest thing is when you see us on the side of the road, just make sure you switch lanes when it's safe to do so. You slow down to 60. When you're slowing down, there's less chance of impact. You have more time to react.
Yeah, for sure. And what are you hoping people take away from today? What are you hoping moves forward from beyond this?
It's just really to make the public aware of everybody that's around. Everybody's on the highway. Like I said, the biggest thing is our safety, your safety. If it's you on the side of the road, you want to be safe as well.
For sure. Well, Sean, that just about wraps up our time here this morning, but I'd like to thank you so much for talking to me about this. This is such an important conversation to have.
It is, and it should be spoken more, but we have one day, and I'm happy to do this.
For sure. We'll get the word out there.
Thank you.
All right. Well, that wraps things up at the moment, but of course, I'll be back again.
On the go and learn a little bit about safety on the streets with Janelle Lepai. Good morning, Janelle.
Good morning, Daryl. We have another great conversation coming up here this morning, and with me to chat a little bit more about it is Steve, one of the tow truck operators here at CAA Regina. Thank you so much for being here.
You're welcome.
So to start us off here this morning, can you tell me a little bit, you have your own personal story.
Yes.
Can you kind of dive into that for me?
Well, there was one morning, a co-worker of mine, we were down on Ring Road and performing a tire change, and I was getting the car up into the air, trying to get the tire off, and my coworker yells out to me, hey, stop, we got to step back. And I jumped back, looked up. Here's this car just about rear-ending the vehicle that we were performing the service on, and a transport truck just about came up behind him, and this was going towards the blocked vehicle. So, nobody wanted to slow down, move over that morning. So, it's scary.
A really important lesson to take away from that for drivers. What kind of impact did that have on you and your families, your friends?
Well, the impact, we all would like to go home safe every day, but, some people are just in a rush to get nowhere too quick, unfortunately.
Yeah, and it's so important to take that time, give yourself a little bit of extra time so that you're not rushing.
Yeah.
And so, what are you hoping that drivers can take away from hearing your story?
Slow down, move over, be a little more attentive as you're driving, because there's days people just have their blinders on and don't really see what's going on around them, but I wish they would kind of open their eyes a little more.
Yeah, and even if people are seeing the vehicle, they'll always have their lights on. That's how you know to slow down. Something's happening.
Yes. It's on a highway, it's 100k an hour. When we're with our lights active, it's 60k an hour. It happens where, some people just forget, but it happens more often than you would think that they're passing us faster than they should be.
Well, Steve, I really appreciate you telling me your story and all the advice. Thank you so much for that.
Thank you.
All right, well, that wraps things up for us at the moment, but of course we'll be back one more time here this morning.
Keep it between the lines, stay away from those curbs. Janelle, thank you.
Well, we're wrapping things up down at CAA Regina, and we've got one more guest here this morning. This is Kurt. He is one of CAA's tow truck operators. Kurt, thank you for being here.
No problem at all.
So let's start off with a little bit of a story that you have. Tell me.
Well, first of all, I just want to say it's imperative that people slow down to 60 going through the zones. It is my work zone. That's where I spend most of my day is on the highway, and it's important that we all come home safe. But I was out on the road one day. It was a really wintry day, snowy, poor visibility, very icy. There was two of us out on the highway pulling out a car. I was directing traffic with my pylons, my LED pylons, and I slipped on the ice, and there's a car approaching really quickly. Turns out he had fallen asleep, and he took out a few pylons as he was coming to us. So I was laying there helpless, and he was asleep hitting the ditch. So luckily everybody was okay. I was all right, the drivers were okay. But the person we were originally helping, he really got a first-hand look of what goes on, and he was very thankful and appreciative of what we do.
Yeah, and that's very scary to experience. That's, that would sit with you, right? And so what would you, viewers that are watching, even drivers on the road, like what's something that you'd want them to take away from that experience?
Just pay attention. When you see lights in the distance, there's a reason for it. There's a reason to slow down. We're all human beings. Everybody wants to go home for the night. And I don't speed through the drive-through. Hopefully you don't speed through my work zone.
Yeah. That's a really good way of putting it, actually. That puts it into very good perspective. And, how did that impact you? And, family, friends, what did they all think?
They were really worried about me. When I told them, they were quite scared. And as I said, the original member that was there and seen it firsthand, he was in awe. He didn't believe the dangers that we go through.
Well, Kurt, I really appreciate you telling me about this story, and that's such a great message to send to drivers. So thank you so much for this.
Anytime. Thank you very much for the awareness.
That wraps things up for us here this morning. Again, a great important message to share. So that's it from us today, and we will see you tomorrow.